Hello, kia ora. Wonderful to see you here. Thank you so much for joining me for our very first double screen live thingy. What's it? Done via Zoom, and I've got an earpiece in, which is giving me a lovely echo, so I'm hearing myself talk twice. So if I start getting mumbled and muddly, it's got nothing to do with me trying to read a story. It's just me trying to talk. Hey, who can we say hello to? Hello to Grace. Hello, Louise. Hello, Chardonnay. Lovely to see you here. Who have we got on YouTube? Let me see. Anybody here saying hi? Who we've got? Caitlin, Rebecca, Charles. Fantastic. Yay, this is working. Now, of course, we're not just here to hear me rabbit on. We've had so many chapters of Freakout Island, 21 amazing chapters. It was so good. Shall we find out about the man who made it? What was going on in his head? A lot by the sounds of things. So let's welcome him to join us. Justin Christopher, also known as Justin Brown. We'll switch it. Here we go.
Hey,
Justin, how are you?
I'm excellent, thanks. Yeah, wow, this is kind of nerve-wracking because you've sat there all week reading out my words and my thoughts, and now you're going to ask me lots of questions about it, and I don't even know if I have the answer. But we'll
Well, I
find
hope
out.
so. The thing is, I've got a good idea that you can make up the answers. If you can make up this, you can make up anything. So tell me,
Yeah.
before we get into this book, tell me a little about Justin Brown. How did Justin Brown come to make amazing things like this?
Well, I actually go back to my very first book that I released, which was a travel book when I was about, oh God, when was that? 2003, maybe. And when I did the book launch, my mother embarrassed me and she brought out all of these books that I'd written when I was like 8, 9, 10. And one of them was about maggots, and they were going to space. These maggots were flying to space, and the planets were made of meat. And my mother read out this maggot book in front of everybody, and it's weird because even when I was like 7, 8, 9, I had it all stapled together. I had the illustrations, I had the words, and I even had an ISBN number and a recommended retail price on maggots in space, as if it was going to be this like huge thing. And she read out a number of these books, and people were just like going, "Oh, okay, this is weird." And so it's gone right back to then, really. And then I had a long radio career in the middle of it all, and then came back to words when I was about 30, I suppose. And I thought, I've really got to start doing this now because I've got stories that I want to tell. And I started doing travel books. I started off writing 3 travel books, which all had a bizarre kind of bent to them. And then I met Joy Cowley and it all changed. And I started writing kids fiction, which is what you've been reading out all this week.
Wonderful. I'm just going to, you sent me a few photographs. We didn't get a chance to put them up on our technology here, but with the help of this kind of technology, here's a picture of one of your travel books, UK on a G-string. So you're a musician as well?
Musician, yeah. I've got 2 very musical daughters as well, and we've always had ukulele guitars lying around the house. And UK on a G-string came about. There used to be these travel books called, Germany on a shoestring, or England on a shoestring, or the USA on a shoestring, meaning that they were budget books you could get by and with not much money. And so then I decided to do UK on a G-string, which has a double meaning. But the gig with that book was that's my very first book. That's the one that we had the big book launch for, that my mother was reading books about maggots. Anyway, so I decided to go around the UK, and I proclaimed myself as the world's only door-to-door busker. So normally people busk on the street and they need 1,000 songs and they need to remember chords to everything. But I figured if I do door-to-door busking, I only need 1 song. So I just need to go from door to door to door, the same song. And I tried it in Auckland, and I will never forget Paul Little. He was the editor of Metro magazine, and he took my very, very first article, and that article was about door-to-door busking around Auckland. And then I decided to upsize it by going to the UK and trying to get around England and Ireland and Wales purely from door-to-door busking to pay for my flight home.
And how far did you get?
I did it all. I didn't do Ireland actually. I got to Scotland and Wales and England and did it for 2 months. And I was blogging at that stage, so I got a bit of traction. I was on there's this show in England called Richard and Judy, which is like the big show of the time, and I got onto that show. It had some publicity and it was really gathering momentum. And then I came home and released the book. But for anyone who wants to get into writing, it's weird because we've kind of gone from the maggot adventure to writing for Metro magazine and then getting a 4-page spread, which I was going through my books the other day and I found that, and that was really my foot in the door, and then became UK on a G-string, which became other travel books. So you need to do it for a start. You need to just get off your bum and actually write the book or write the piece. But then you also do need a bit of luck, and you do need to network and find amazing people. In my case, it was Paul who published it, and that leads on to other things. And the exciting thing is you don't actually know where it's going to go. It could be, that's the fun bit.
Well, let's face it, starting as an 8-year-old, you probably did your 10,000 hours before you actually published your first book.
And also those books I look at them and they're just complete rubbish. It doesn't matter. Like, just put words on a page or just draw.
It's like learning a musical instrument. When you first started playing the guitar, hopefully you can play more than one song now, but when you first started playing, it's going to sound bad because you don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about creativity too. Anyone who works in creativity knows that instead of you giving me an idea, Susie, and I go, that's a bit rubbish, I should go, yeah, and what about? And then you take it to another place. They're the best people to work with in creativity, who take your idea and they don't poo-poo it. They go, we could do this, and what about that? And then taking it to weird places. And that's how Monty Python happens. That's how all of these crazy comedians do their stuff. They always have someone very open.
Wonderful. On the next green light things and then just let it run.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, one of your mentors, I'm just going to jump a little bit because we're talking about your writing. One of your mentors you approached, and she basically gave you the green light too, didn't she? Well, I shared this story a few nights ago, but you met Joy Cowley.
Yeah. Well, so when I was a kid, The Silent One was one of my favourite books. It was about a boy who lived on the island who was deaf, and he befriended a turtle, and it became a movie, and it just really hit home with me, that story, for some reason. Interesting story about that, though, is that Joy was actually approached to do a story, I think, for the Deaf Society or something like that. And she came up with The Silent One, which I think was incredible. She's almost like given a brief, and then she says, what am I going to do with this story? And then she writes this incredible piece of fiction. When I got into writing for kids, I talked about Paul, and now I'll talk about Joy. She has been the most incredible mentor to me. And the way I met her was that she was at Storyline at Aotea Centre, 10 years ago, probably more. And I wanted to get to writing for kids. But I didn't want to go to all of Storylines. I didn't want to go for 2 days. I just wanted to meet Joy. So I double parked and I put my hazard lights on and I rolled into the Aotea Centre. Joy had just finished her talk, and I rolled up to her and said, Joy, you don't know me from a bar of soap. My name's Justin. I love your work and I want to get into writing for kids. Will you be my Yoda? And they were the actual words. I said, will you be my Yoda? And instead of her slapping me across the face and saying, how dare you, she said, that's interesting. Well, send me your work and we'll see how we go. So again, she was open to the creative process. And if my work was rubbish, I would never have heard from her again. But she wrote back, and then I've talked to her for a long time now. In fact, one of my books that I released probably 10 years ago called Shot, Boom, Score, which was about a boy who is hopeless at school, but he's very, very good at football and cricket. Joy edited that for free. She absolutely did the whole book for me for nothing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So those sorts of people that you run into in your life are just so important. But I guess you have to put yourself out there. I did have to risk getting the parking ticket, and my hazard lights were on. So.
Indeed, but as you say, it's how you approach the situation as well. If you had been very shy and downcast and all the rest of it, she might not have looked at you in the same light, but you went through in there confidently, told her how much you loved her, and then asked the hard questions straight away. Good on you.
And you know, Susie, to this day, I still send her scripts, and any writer will tell you this: when you get feedback and it's not good, you get really grumpy for about a week because you think your work is your baby, right? And she will often give me feedback, and it'll be like, oh, I think you could have done this and you could have done better there. And it's all just smoothing the wheel. And at the time, you can't see it. And even if today I was given feedback and it was bad, I'd still get grumpy. But then you eventually have to just go for a run or just like watch a movie, chill out. And then when you come back to it, she's normally right. That's the really annoying thing.
Yeah, with the years of experience, I'm not surprised. Now, with this book and another of your other books, you also employed the services of another editor.
Oh, in England?
Yeah.
Yes. So when I decided to write this book and the there's 3 in this, it's not really a series, but as Justin Christopher, and make sure you ask me about how I came up with that name because it's quite funny too. In England, there is an editor called Anna Bowles, and Anna Bowles has edited a whole lot of David Walliams stuff. And I found her, I really wanted to find a really top-notch editor because I see these stories, I want them to last forever. I don't want them to be read once and then thrown away, or I want you to, anyone who you've read Freakout Island to this week, I want them to be thinking about this for 10 years, 20 years, or read it to their kids. So I really wanted to find someone who was just top-notch, and Anna came highly recommended, and she edited Freakout Island and The Underers, which is the one after Freakout Island.
And you're up there with some pretty good writers of hers that she's edited, aren't you?
Yeah, and she's tough. She's really tough. So you don't always want to hear the feedback, and then what happens is you give it to the editor, and they come back with pages and pages of what you could be doing. Again, they don't tell you what to do because it's your book, but they might say, I think maybe it shouldn't be a boy, it should be a girl, it should be in this direction or whatever. And they're not cheap. I've got to say, these editors, and they get paid well because they are very, very good. So you might just need to save a little bit before you give it to someone who, don't give it to your family and don't give it to your mates because they love you and they'll say you're amazing. And it's very good, but the book might be rubbish. So you have to give it to an impartial, pure, good editor.
Oh, sure. And it makes it a little easier when she's perhaps being just as hard on David Walliams as she is on you.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so I just wanted to tell you about what I remember coming up with Justin Christopher. So my real name is Justin Brown, and my father's name is Christopher. And I met Lee Child, the famous crime writer.
Oh, yeah.
You see Lee Child everywhere. And I was emceeing an event at the Ellerslie Racecourse and introducing and interviewing Lee Child. And when we were in the green room, this was before I'd actually written any fiction. I'd only ever written travel books and slang books like Kiwi speak and rugby speak. I've written those too. And when I met Lee, we were in the green room, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, a green room, it's just before you go on stage and you sit in there and you're hanging out and being very nervous and hoping you're not going to suck. That's normally what happens in a green room. And so I'm chatting there to Lee Child, and he said, he was flicking through my non-fiction book. And he said, have you ever thought about writing fiction? And I said, nah, I'm too chicken, because I was too chicken at that stage. And he said, no, you should. You should give it a go. And he said, what's your surname? And I said, Brown. And he said, Brown, Dan Brown, lots of Browns. What's your middle name? And I said, Christopher. And he said, Justin Christopher. That's got a good ring to it. And then he walked off with a cigarette and went out to his car and drove home. And I never, ever forgot that meeting with Lee Child, and thought, if I ever do fiction, I want to be Justin Christopher. So it's quite liberating too when you change your name.
Sure. You're somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Hey, let's have a look. Justin Brown here. This is one of the covers of one of your books. Shot Bro, Sweet As. Oops. Try and get it straight. Here we go.
I was just trying to see. I thought it was behind me there for a minute, but yeah. So that's Kiwi Speak. So that was born. Rugby Speak came out first, and Rugby Speak was, here's a ridiculous idea. So when I used to go to rugby matches, I didn't know what to yell out. I didn't know what you're supposed to yell out to the players, apart from get in behind or don't pass it, whatever. And so I just thought, why don't I write a book about what you should actually yell out at the rugby? And it seemed so stupid and so ridiculous and too simple. And it ended up doing really, really well. And then I did Cricket Speak. And then I was about to do Farm Speak. And then my editor at Random House, Jenny Helen, said, why don't you do Kiwi Speak? So why don't we encompass every ridiculous saying that Kiwis have ever said around the dinner table? There's a Nana Speak chapter. There's a Mum Speak chapter. There's a Dad Speak, Racing Speak, so it's all, everything encapsulated kind of it's the size of a CD, it's like a pop culture sort of book, and it's still doing really well. So obviously Kiwi's just, the first one came out, it was a green cover that came out 10 years ago, and they've just re-released it now in the orange cover.
So is it selling here in New Zealand or overseas with international people trying to work out what on earth we're saying?
A little bit Australia, but mostly New Zealand. In fact, that's funny though, because often people say to me, I've got someone, pre-COVID, I've got someone coming to stay in New Zealand. Have you got anything I can give them? And then they just love this book because it's accessible.
Yeah.
It's not a tough read, and it's just really the saying and then some stupid little remark that I put underneath.
Quintessential Kiwi. Hey, so which is easier then? Are you saying that writing non-fiction's much easier than writing fiction?
Oh, yeah. You still have to have the right topic. I mean, it's the three travel books I did, and then also the ones you just saw in the Kiwi Speak. You still have to have the right angle and the right idea, but man, it's really tough to get into a 10-year-old's head and figure out what you used to think when you were at your nana's, or what you used to think of how you felt when someone called you something terrible at school, or the things that can hang over you when you're a kid. We just brush off as adults, but when you're a kid, someone says something nasty to you, you can carry it for like 2 years at school.
Oh, you can carry it for the rest of your life.
That's true. So getting into the heads of a 10-year-old, because I write for 9 to 12-year-olds, so it's tough, but it's also fun because you can just do really stupid things in there too. You can just mix it up.
Well, you've got 2 girls, so were you able to utilise them? There's critiquing your audience.
Yeah, I remember there was this vicious quote that my daughter said to me once, which inspired me to write more. She said, "Dad, you're a really funny person, but you don't write funny." And I'm going, she was probably about 9 when she said it. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing you could say. But it inspires you to like going, okay, so she might be onto something, so I need to write funny.
Sure. So was she about this age then, with this picture here? What is it? Oh,
yeah, probably about that age, because that's how long Freakout Island has been in my head for. I can't remember the date on it. Is it 2000? Does it say the date on the top of that, Susie? I can't remember.
This picture here? Yeah, 2013.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
5th of November 2013, Dad's Stuck for Ideas on Freakout Island by Sophie, 9.
There we go. That's exactly right. So that's how long it's been going for. And in fact, I would have already written a first draft by then, because she would have read it, and that's when she probably said, not funny. Work on it.
Hey, well, I tell you what, her art has come a long way. That was fantastic art there as a 9-year-old. But, so how old was she when she created this cover?
2 years, 15.
15, far out.
15, yeah.
A family full of creatives.
But I can't do that for every cover you see, Susie, because then I just can't. I mean, she's busy. She's got soccer and school and art and boyfriend. So,
crikey. And you think of the cost of an editor, the cost of the artwork is far greater.
Yeah, cheap. She's really cheap. I'm joking.
She won't be after this. Why, crikey.
True.
Hey, so should we ask some of the questions that have been sent in? What have we got here? There was a question from an 8-year-old, Sophia, obviously enjoyed the book. She said, what has been your inspiration for writing Freakout Island?
Wow, that's a good question, Sophia. I think it's because of all those bribes that your parents said to you when you were a kid. Like, I never forgot them. Like, if you swallow chewing gum, you will blow a bubble out your butt, or whatever it is. If the wind changes, you will stay like that. And it never sort of left me. And when I was thinking about Freakout Island, I thought, what could I do which would mean that I can incorporate all of those sayings and have them come true? Because wouldn't it be just awful if you chewed on your hair, you would have a bird's nest growing out of your head, and what would that look like? And but then of course you need villains, and so what's the story? Where have they gone, and how can the kids not escape? But I had so much fun, and it was very difficult to choose too, because I had a lot of characters. I had too many, and I had to nail it down to 5, because as I think I was saying the other day in an interview, Jack Russell, I was going to have a boy called Jack Russell, and he ate too many dog biscuits and he turned into a dog. There was a character called Pip, and Pip swallowed too many watermelon seeds and she grew a watermelon out of her head. So there's lots that you can also make up, but then there are many too that our parents sort of said to us when we were young.
Oh, definitely. I remember a few of those myself. How many of those have you used on your girls?
None, actually. No, I think I was probably sick of them from writing about it.
Sure.
I didn't even use those bribes.
Gave the girls short haircuts so they couldn't chew it and things like that.
No, exactly. No watermelon, no dog.
Excellent. Tracy would like to know, who is your favourite character? Hers was Leo, but which was your favourite character?
Oh, I love Vane. Vane is just, you've got to make your villains. There's got to be something about them which you also like. You can't, if you look at Despicable Me or any of those sorts of movies, you always kind of love the villain. You can't have, a villain can't be all bad. A villain must have some characteristics where you go, oh, I kind of agree with that guy or that girl. That's quite interesting. So writing Vane was so much fun because he is just so vain. And I love it that he's got a young plastic face, because he's vain. So he's wanting to look young the whole time. He's got greasy black hair, no doubt dyes it. And he's very, very, very nasty. And so him and Volga being on that island, I had so much fun knowing that their business was just going to fall over because they just were so useless at everything, including trying to trap kids, and everything just fell over for them. And the kids won. So that's why I think it's enjoyable.
Yeah, fantastic. We thought it was enjoyable too.
Thanks.
Tracy also wanted to know, were any of the characters written about real people?
The thing is, not anyone in particular, although I have quite a nasty neighbour.
Oh.
But anyway, that's another story. You just kind of we're all magpies looking for shiny objects, and we just take a bit of that person, and a bit of that person, and a bit of that person. I guess Leo has a lot of me in him, because I was kind of quiet at school, and I just tried to get things done and tried to learn as well as I could. Probably smarter people around me, and he just really tries to. He also hooks onto something. So he loves Midnight Raider. He loves that video game. So whatever he's doing, he goes right into it. And I guess there's a lot of I like writing about Leo, and he's got useless parents. Not that I have great parents, but I'm just saying his parents are so utterly useless. And when I stumbled across their job, which is professional competition winners, I should actually just write a whole book about professional competition winners, because there are people who do that. You'll know that, Steve. There's people in radio and TV who just win so many prizes that they almost have a red mark against their name because they just win too many prizes. But I thought it'd be hilarious if his parents thought they had a job.
Exactly.
But they are professional competition winners.
Well, they put so many hours into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fabulous. Okay, so lots of people want to know, when is the next book in the series coming out?
For Freakout Island, you mean? Or?
Yeah. Caitlin's got a great idea. She wants to know if there's going to be the book number 2. She thinks that's the story of Aunt Margot, and then book number 3, perhaps Leo has a naughty younger sister.
Oh, they are really good ideas. Where's my pen? I need to write those down. That's really good.
Well, she's offered to help you out.
Oh, that's so good. I also think Vain and Vulgar have a story. There's a nasty story going on there. What's happening with them? I think as with series are very. I don't know how J.K. Rowling did it. I really don't. To see her plan, I've seen her. If you look on the internet, you can actually see the plan she's done for Harry Potter, and it looks like she's been coding. It's seriously that in depth. If I felt I needed to write a follow up, I definitely would. I heard Neil Gaiman the other day. If you've read any of Neil Gaiman's stuff, he talks about a writer. You're either an otter or a dolphin, and a dolphin writes the same book every time. Not the same book, but someone like Lee Child has written many, many books about Jack Reacher and crime. So he would be classified as a dolphin, which means a dolphin learns how to get a fish, and they go, oh, wow, I can get a fish every time he's doing that. Okay, so I'll just keep doing that. Otters, you don't know what they're going to do. They're all over the shop. So I would probably say I'm more an otter than a dolphin.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, we love otters because you've got so many books that we need to go and find that gives us lots to choose from. So we've got another couple of questions here. What was your favourite book to read? Asks Nadia.
When I was a kid, and this is why when I do school talks, I always say that you don't have to read novels when you're a kid. You can just, as long as you read anything, it can be. So I was addicted to Asterix. I read Asterix for years and years. It was either Asterix or cricket books. If there was a cricketer who had a book come out, I'd either read that or I'd read an Asterix book. And then that led on to novels when I was like 18, 19, 20. So loved those sorts of books. And then I got into Jeffrey Archer, got into always loved Roald Dahl as a kid. So Roald Dahl would be the one.
Excellent. Okay. What's your favourite book that you've written? Asks Bryce.
My favourite book that I've written would be The Under-Is. The Under-Is is the one I wrote after Freakout Island, and that is that's easily my favourite.
Under-Is is your favourite one at the moment. Okay. Now let me see if I can bring up a picture of. Yep, I'll see if I can bring up a picture here of The Under-Is. Here we go. Right. That is The Under-Is. Now, but on Amazon, I think they have it as a red cover, don't they?
Yeah, that's got a red cover and a blue cover. The blue cover is for the ebook, and the red cover is for the paperback. Yeah. And this story is all about Journey, who's walking down the stairs there, and she lives in Cabbage Tree Avenue, and she is picked on at school, and she doesn't like school very much. She's got a really annoying brother and useless parents. There's a theme here. And she discovers that there are people living under her house, and they are called Under-Is. But Under-Is come out in the daytime when you're at school, and they live in your house, and they are attached to the alarm system in your house. So they come upstairs, they're made of jelly-like see-through bodies, so they don't set off the alarm. So they can walk around and they cook food and they make a mess, and then they go back downstairs to Shadow Edge, which is where they live, and no one even knows they're there, but they've been living there for years. Journey befriends them. The Under-Is get into all sorts of trouble, and she has to save the day. There's a crocodile involved as well.
Oh my goodness. That sounds like one we have to read as well, guys.
You'll love that one. Susie, you will love Journey. She is a funny, funny girl, and it's bizarre. That book is very bizarre. I think you'll love it.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So, look, I've been trying to work out, I had my head down, so excuse me, it's been quite rude, but I've been trying to see all the questions that have been written on Facebook, but for some reason that tablet wasn't working properly. So let me have a quick look here, see what we've missed. Amanda says, well written, Christopher. And I think she meant Justin Christopher. Well written, Justin
Thank you,
Christopher.
Amanda.
Excellent. What's one book, Bryce asks, that you didn't like to write?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I didn't like to write. Um, honestly, probably the maggot book.
As an 8-year-old. Hey, you loved it as an 8-year-old.
I can't actually say, because you just go through different stages, and if you're not in love with whatever you're writing at the time, you wouldn't be doing it. So
Sure.
the travel books, which led on to the slang books like Kiwi Speak, and which now led on to this, there are difficult books to write. There are ones which you have trouble trying to, and I remember being stuck on Freakout Island for a while about how to make it actually work and how to make it something which would be like a Pixar movie that you just absolutely love. But I honestly can't say there's not one.
Great.
I don't like.
That's fantastic. Let's hope there isn't ever one. Hey, no, you've got some fantastic tips that you share. One of them is, if you want to do it, just do it. Live your dreams, make it happen, which I think is a fantastic tip. What would you say when you have writer's block, as you did with Freakout Island? What's something that you'd recommend?
Do something absolutely completely different. So we don't have a video game console in our house. We've just never had one. And now that we're in lockdown, my daughter's boyfriend's brought around a Mario or something, and we're all addicted to it. But we're only going to be addicted to it for like 2 weeks, because, well, hopefully that's how long the lockdown's going to be. But my point is, do something really different. Literally, like, shake it off. Go karting, or go climb a tree, or we used to have a trampoline, and whenever I was stuck, I'd literally go and jump on the trampoline like an idiot. And if anyone had seen me in the daytime, they'd go, what is this guy doing? Blueberries. Blueberries are really good as well. Eat lots of blueberries.
Blueberries are fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do something different. You just have
blueberries.
to just do something really, really different, and then you will think of it. It's never ever when you'd like crunching words on the page. That's what's kind of worked for me. I remember going for a long walk and putting on Led Zeppelin, which I don't really listen to typically, and walking past a graveyard and Karanga Happy Road. And then I had the best idea for this novel called The Day Grandpa Woke the Dead, or something like that. I'm still writing it.
Oh, really?
But it was because I did something very, very, very different. And it's quite hard to do different things though too, because you go, oh, what do I normally do? And what could I do that's different? But yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like you are somebody that does something quite different often.
I'll try to.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah. So we're human beings. We're so boring. We do the same stuff all the time. We drink the same things. We eat the same things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, we can get a little bit like that in lockdown. So I guess another good recommendation is find something different to do while we're in lockdown.
Especially today. I had my worst day in lockdown today. I just was going stir crazy, and I was trying to work and trying to do things. So I think we all have those days, and we are going to all have them. But you just have to somehow. In fact, and then I spoke to you in the afternoon, Susie, and that was great. And then I got out of it.
Fantastic. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Anytime you're having troubles, just give us a call and we'll help you out of it. Hey, talking of lockdown, you and working, you've got how many books on the go?
I've got 3. I'm writing one about nanas at the moment. I really had 2 awesome nanas, and I'm writing a book about them, a picture book about them. And I'm working on a book called Stowaway Days. And Stowaway Days is about 2 homeless brothers who live in Detroit beneath a bridge. And then they, without giving too much away, they escape their life by jumping on the tour bus of their favorite band. And they decide to become stowaways and pretend that they are part of the band. And that's a lot of fun. So, yeah. So there's 2 or 3 on the go.
Excellent. But you also have a full-time job, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that. Yeah. So I make TV shows. I'm a producer, which means that I have to make sure that everything's working for the shoot and for the show. We just did one which was on Bravo recently called The Circus. And The Circus is about the Weber family, who are, you might have seen the tent around the country. They're very, very famous around New Zealand and Australia. And there's mum and dad, and then there's 8 kids, aging from 2 years old to 21 years old.
How many kids did you say?
They're amazing.
10?
8 kids.
8 kids. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's funny, they call them 2 litters because, I mean, the first litter is, say, 21 down to about 17, and the second litter actually goes the other way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then the second litter is like from 2 to about 7. There's a massive gap in the middle.
Sure. Oh, well, they've been pretty busy with their circus, haven't they?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. Hey, look, I so appreciate you taking the time to join us on YouTube when we had our premieres and joining in with the conversation there, but giving so much of your time this evening as well, away from the Nintendo and the Super Mario Kart race that's on.
Oh, we're playing that after this, by the way. We haven't
okay.
We've got lollies and everything. We're going to be at the championship tonight. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you still are a big kid. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to thank you too, Susie, because I thought you just did such a great job of reading Freakout all week, especially the accents and trying to get there's so many characters in that book. There's like 5, probably 7 or 8 that you had to do, and you did a great job. And also for all of you listening or watching, all of your comments and stuff have just been great, because as an author, we've all got egos. We need to hear that stuff. So
yeah, and I guess you don't hear it so much. I mean, people will chuckle away. In fact, one dear friend, Shane, who wasn't able to join us tonight but joined us last night, he said he laughed out loud from his hospital bed, and everybody else in the ward with him was looking around to see what on earth he was doing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Job done.
Yeah, excellent. Brilliant. Hey, well, thank you so much. And we look forward to looking out for your books. Where can we find you?
You can find me JustinChristopherAuthor.com, and my Facebook and my Instagram are both Justin Christopher Author. But if you go to JustinChristopherAuthor.com, just go to the books page, and there's a mailing list. So just put your email in there, and then I can, you'll keep up to date with everything that's going on.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we'll hopefully have you back again with your next books and find out what else you're up to.
Yeah, thanks so much, Susie.
Yeah, thank you. See you later. Wow, wasn't that awesome, guys? Oh, I'm just going to take this out of my ear because it's so uncomfortable. So wonderful to have Justin here joining us to find out a wee bit about the man and the mind behind these amazing books. What a creative, and obviously very passionate about not only writing, but about who he's writing for. So do go and check those out. Justin Christopher Author at Facebook and Instagram. The books are available on Amazon and Fishpond, and they're certainly worth adding to your library. I want to go and check out what is the Underers? The Underers, we'll go and check out that one next. We might choose another book in between, but we will come back to that, okay? Excellent. Well, have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch you here soon. I'm not too sure what's going to be happening in the next couple of days as far as reading a book goes, but you know that I will let you know as soon as I know. Have a great night. See you later, my friend. Bye.